Hey kids, Kenner French with Vast Voice. We're telling business secrets to entrepreneurs. I'm with Vast Solutions Group. And we're hanging out with Bob McIntosh here. I have not prepped him in any way, so he has no clue what we're going to be talking about. He's the marketing guru for a lot of real estate professionals. So I'm going to ask for one thing from him right off the bat. One thing, one added value element, one added value piece of advice to a small business owner who might be out there listening, watching, who wants to take their business to the next level. Give me one added value tip right off the bat, Big Bob.
First thing I can say is do not underestimate the power of a great website to boost your bottom line. All too often, people look at the website as an expense, so they go as cheap as possible. But when you're cheap on your website, which is the first thing that most people see of you, they assume you and your business are cheap and your service is cheap. So don't do that. Make it look professional, make it look good. It will make your sales easier in the long run.
Oh, I like that. Right. Okay. All right. That's number one. I like that. Again, we haven't prepped you in any way. So we could talk about stupid, boring marketing stuff. We could talk about us. We could talk about you. We're not going to do that. What I want to know is how you have built your firm, because you're a marketing firm. I've met you and your partner. You don't have to disclose any private, confidential stuff, but I want to know really from the guru how he's built his business in such a way that it's exploded from what I understand. So, give a little bit of background about yourself, about the firm. Again, I want to know how you have built your own practice first.
Yeah. So we did a couple of things, and I'll kind of go through some basics. First things first, and in the space of marketing especially, but this is true in all spaces, but it's also especially true in real estate investing. Trust is at an all-time low. I recently heard on our the recent family mastermind call, Aaron talked about there's a trust recession. And in the spaces that we operate in as entrepreneurs, all too often, people are less and less and less trustworthy of what they see. And the thing that I've always done, and I've always operated this way in all of my businesses, including my marketing business and including everything else that we do, my first core value in all my businesses is integrity. I'm always going to do the right thing. I've watched too many times people lose their integrity. Even companies that claim that they have it, I've watched them go through and say, well, when it comes to brass tacks, money's more important than integrity. And I will lose money and maintain integrity every single day of the week. And I think that's why when you look at who we are, what we do, and how we do it, the reason that I have such a high level of trust is because people know that they can stand behind me on that. And a perfect example of that is just recently someone scraped a portion of my email list without me knowing about it and was emailing them utilizing my name. And I was like, whoa, hang on a second. And I know this because my audience reached out to me and said, who is this guy? Why is he talking? Why is he emailing me when I didn't sign up for his list, but using your name? Like, did you and they're asking me questions, but there was no one asking me a question of why did you sell my information? Like they weren't pissed off about it necessarily, but they were questioning what was going on to make that happen. And so, integrity creates and breeds customers and clients who will believe in you. And I think that's ultimately what it is. And so that's one of the big things that we've always stood behind in all of our businesses, even in all my real estate dealing, the same thing, right? Like I've had deals that have gone sideways, we lost money in the deal, but my lenders still made back all their money and all their interest that they would have made on the loan, even though I had to come out of pocket from my business to make that happen, because integrity is utmost in what we do.
Yeah, I get it. That sounds good. I know a lot of people who know you. You're a trustworthy guy. I could say that myself, actually, in my dealings with you. So, well, tell us a little bit about Big Bob. Who is Bob? Tell us who you are, and then again, let's jump into how you've built your firm. So, people out there, who real estate agents or anyone who owns a small operating company can learn from really how you've built your business.
Yeah. So the short version is I graduated college. I had some money courtesy of my parents and was like, what do I do with this money? And I ended up buying real estate and bought my first rental back in 2008. And I was like, okay, this is cool. I'm making money, but it's not enough for me to get out of working unless I work for the next 30 years. And I was like, well, that's not fast enough for me. So got into real estate, flipping houses, bombed our first house, lost a bunch of money. And I was like, well, the only way through is more houses because I'm not going to be able to make up that much money that fast. So just doubled down on more and it worked, right? And I, made a bunch of investments into education and learning and figuring out where my mistakes were. So that helped. But what I got really good at was our first business was flipping houses. That's what we did for a long time. But I lived in Los Angeles and we did all our flipping in Buffalo. So I had to figure out, how do I help the business from 3,000 miles away? And this is like, for perspective, that doesn't sound crazy today, but in 2010, when I moved to LA, and it's like, hey, Dropbox and sharing files online is brand new. Like, we're like iPhone V3. I don't even think selfies were invented yet. Like, so this is a very different time. And so I got good at digital marketing because I was like, hey, I can do that from far away. I can do that with my full-time job and still benefit the business and grow. And so I did. And then I got, very good at that for our business. And then several education companies reached out to me and said, hey, will you build and teach programs to teach our students how to do what you did? I said, sure. So I did that. And eventually that led me to saying, well, instead of just teaching it, what if I actually just do it for people? Because most folks have no idea what to do when it comes to digital marketing, or even worse than that, they think they know and they go do some things, or they read a book or a podcast or whatever, and they know just enough to be dangerous, and then it goes sideways. And in the space, especially of real estate investing, there's so many peculiarities of digital marketing for investors that are different than almost every other digital marketing business that you're going to do, that we do. Like, it's almost more difficult as an investor to do, which means it's more likely for someone to mess it up, unfortunately.
I understand that. I get it. So, and by the way, you have an accent. I know where you're from, but I've forgotten. Where are you from?
Originally from Buffalo, which is why we did all our stuff there. But I lived in New York City, Chicago, and LA. So I've picked up certain words with different accents. So usually people go like, wait a second. Hold on.
I know. I know that's true, huh?
Yeah. I lived in Chicago for a year, so I got a little bit of that Midwest. And then New York City for 4 years, so I picked up a little bit of that, New York City, New Jersey-esque, and then California, like, hey man. So it's like an amalgamation of those three things, which it's interesting.
Yeah, seriously. All right, cool. I got it. All right, thanks for that background. So wait a minute. So you talked about the importance of a website. Being naive, I used to blow off the website. I used to think, oh, websites aren't important. I'm embarrassed to say that, man. Anyway, but now I've figured
most business owners think the same way, so that's okay.
But it's like a storefront. Back in the old days, people would have cool storefronts and then have wonky websites. Now, few people have storefronts, but now I think people are starting to figure out that they have to have a cool website, have to have a good community, etc. But anyway, tell us a little bit more about websites. Do you design them, by the way?
Yeah, we design and build websites for all businesses. We have special offerings for real estate investors to get them up and going quickly, but we can build, we host hundreds of websites at this point that we've built ourselves. So here's the thing. When you're a business owner, especially a small business owner just getting started, it's not fair. And I wish this was the other way around, but it's not. But because you're a small business owner, the trust factor with you is at an all-time low, right? So think about this for a second. How many times will someone go to McDonald's and get their order screwed up by a teenager who doesn't give a crap about your food at all? They just want to get their, $15 an hour and call it a day. But you'll keep going back there. You don't call McDonald's corporate and say, F you guys, you messed up my order for the last time. I'm never eating here again, right? You'll keep going back. But as a small business owner, when someone messes up, we won't return the same courtesy. Yeah. We hold them to a higher standard, despite the fact that they have less resources. And so what does that mean for us? It means that everything that we do has to be at a different and higher level of intentionality for us to be more effective. And the very first thing that most people are going to see about you and your business is going to be your website. And so what I see all the time is people go out to Squarespace, Wix, and these shitty websites, excuse my language, but they are. They build a shitty website that looks okay at best, has no thought behind the communication, what you say, why you say it, and how you say it. And it doesn't actually help your business. In fact, it hurts your business. Fun fact, 97% of people will judge your business's credibility based on only the design of your website. Not the content, your accolades, your information, your testimonials, your reviews, your history, your BBB rating. They don't care about any of that. 97% will judge you based on just the design of your site. So if your design looks chintzy and cheap, they assume you as your business will operate chintzy and cheap. And most of us don't want to work with small businesses that are chintzy and cheap. We can go find big businesses that are happy to do that for us, and they will. So this is where people, in my opinion, they miss the boat. They think that their website's not important. And the reason that they do this is simple. It's because there's no direct attributable ROI to your website design, right? I build a good website, a bad website, or a great website. From their point, in most cases, it's not driving more traffic in because they're looking at it from a simple standpoint of better website should mean more leads, but it doesn't. Because what's really happening in this world of what we call multi-attribution. So that means I might have Googled something and maybe I saw an ad for your business and I clicked on your link from Google and I went, oh, okay, I'm not ready yet. Then I saw a retargeting ad on Facebook and I went, oh yeah, that's right, those guys. Then I open my browser and I go to your website. I look at your website and I go, I don't know, it's kind of whatever. And then I'm on Facebook and I get a targeted ad again. And then finally I fill out the form and I contact you. That's one story. Now imagine that same story, but they go to your website and they go, dang, no, this is exactly what I want. So they pick up the phone and they call you. Or they've made a decision in their mind, but the Facebook ad gets to opt in the next time they see your Facebook ad. Why? Because at the end of the day, your website isn't going to do anything for you directly, but indirectly, people will associate your credibility and your ability to solve their problem, answer their question, or get them the solution they want with what they see. But they'll never tell you that. They won't say, man, I went to your website. It was so amazing. I loved it. And that's why I signed up, right? They'll just simply say, I think you can help my business. And so business owners don't attribute the depth of credibility you get from a great website. And here's how you'll know. If you design a great website, you should start to see that the conversations you're having via sales go easier. They close quicker. Your sales cycle shrinks down. Those things should happen. Now, it's not going to be like, oh, I got a great website and all of a sudden my sales cycle went 50% faster. Like, no. But if you saw 1% increase in conversion on your leads, right? I guarantee you, for most business owners, a 1% boost in conversion is going to make you more than it's going to cost you to build a great website with a company that knows what they're doing all day long.
Nice. So. Yeah. I think you're exactly right. Again, if I would have known that years ago, I'd be probably as rich as you. Jeez. All right. So, okay. Again, we're doing this a little bit differently. I want to know how you've built your business. So you're talking about, websites. So what's the name of your website? How does someone learn about you? I assume the website's one of the main ways.
Yeah. So I actually operate mine in two ways, and I do this very purposely, and I'm going to explain it, and then I'll give you the website. So we have two different brands. Well, more than two, but two primary brands. One is our marketing agency. So this is where we help people with done for you and done with you services for marketing. And then I have my personal brand, because I truly believe that us as individuals need to be out there branding ourselves. It will make everything work better, right? Like if I look at the majority of our business that we've gained in the last 4 years of operation, the end of the day, probably 85% of that business has come from people knowing me or my business partner. And that's huge. So I have thebobmcintosh.com, which is my personal brand site.
And how do you spell that, by the way? How do you spell that?
THEBOBMCINTOSH. So thebobmcintosh.com. You can find me there. Now, that site is designed to do two things. One, build credibility about me personally. It's to build credibility for me to go speak on stages and events and things of that nature, because that's what I want. Because I find that works well for us for business. If that's not what you're after, that's okay. But the goal should be to do the thing that you want it to do. And then it's also it's really the biggest thing it's like a hub for all the things that I do. Not just my marketing agency, but also my real estate business and my speaking business and my book. It's the hub of all things Bob. Now, my other site, which is for 3 Degrees Consulting, which is go3dc.com. So go, the number 3, DC for Degrees Consulting, 3 Degrees Consulting, go3dc.com. That's our website for our agency. Now, on that site, I talk about not myself as much. I mean, there's a little bit about me on there, but it's a very, very small amount. That site is about, here's what this company does. We help you with marketing. We help you with websites. We help you with SEO. We help you with paid advertising. Those are the things that we talk about on there, our CRM, those kinds of things. Because what I find is that when I have a brand of me combined with a brand that drives respect in my space, in this case, marketing, right? Those two things elevate each other, both independently, but at the same time.
I got it. So would you say that, even though indirectly, that's helped your business, it sounds like, even though that's one of the more important things you'd say. So what unique about your website has helped so much?
So for us, it goes back to about building trust. As much as I possibly can, our website is designed to help people understand that I'm a trustworthy person and this is how you know. So for example, on go3dc.com, you're going to see our core values are listed there. I want people to understand this is what we believe in. And if you're not these 6 things, then I don't care. I'm not going to work with you. Like you can pay me, you can't pay me enough money to work with someone who doesn't share my values, right? So if you're not an integrous person, I'm not going to work with you. I don't care what you do or how much money I can make. It doesn't matter to me, right? So that's number 1. Number 2, I talk about how we operate. So and at Go3DC, we branded ourselves as digital marketing fiduciaries. What does that mean?
Oh,
Well,
look at
technically,
you.
there's not like an actual certification. I'm not held
Yeah,
to a
there's no.
government standard. There doesn't exist for marketing firms, but we hold ourselves to the same standards that fiduciaries do in the financial world, which is to say, I'm always going to do the right thing for you, even if it's the wrong thing, if you will. I use that terminology in air quotes if you're not seeing the video, right? The wrong thing for me. What I mean by that is, right? Like perfect example, was working with a client recently who's like, I need to do ads. I need to do ads. Like I got to do ads. And I was like, okay, we can start. It became very clear after a few months that they don't have the capacity at this time to do all the other things that are needed to make my ads that I'm running work well for their business. So I said, you should stop paying me. Like, do I want your money? Yes. Can I help you? Yes. Can I run your ads? Yes. But if doing so is going to basically just suck the bank account dry without you being able to replenish it because you can't do the things you need to, then I'd rather not work with you. And I'm okay with that. Like I'd rather give up business and know that I'm doing the right thing than the other way around. And so things like that is what we do to indicate trust. Now, on top of all of that, I make it very clear that I've been around the block. I didn't just like, this is a dig at a lot of people right now, but I didn't just go, download Ty Lopez's his course on how to build a marketing agency and say, I can run some from Facebook. And this is not to bang his course because I've actually gone through it. It's actually really good. But I also understand that for a lot of business owners, hiring a 20-year-old who has no business experience and no experience at all doing this stuff can be a scary prospect. So I want them to understand I've been doing marketing for over a decade, right? So I started marketing basically in 2008. So it's been, what is that? I don't know, what is that? Whatever we are here, 15 years I've been doing marketing, right? So I want people to understand that, hey, I'm not just some 20-year-old who has no idea. I've got more than a decade of experience behind me, right? I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on education in the marketing space. I'm that guy that literally geeks out when the Google guy who makes the algorithm tweets. Because I'm like, oh my God, what's he going to tell us today that we get to know, right? Like, and how's that going to, like, what can I use with that? Or how's it going to impact? Like, I'm that guy that geeks out on that shit. And most people will not. So that's the kind of person that you need on your team to execute high quality marketing.
It's funny. People kind of think, oh, not to say you and I are old because you're a kid still, but they kind of laugh at older people in the marketplace, I think, sometimes. But I think we've been around, our company's been around since 69. We know tax, we know finance, but at the same time, sometimes I feel like, well, we're getting up there in age, but as long as you're, with your 15 years of knowledge, you're always doing CE or continuing education, always keeping up to breast. So
Right.
I mean, you're a guru for a reason. It's probably because you've learned all the way along the line. And, people are just coming off the street saying, oh, I'm a marketing dude. It just doesn't work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just
And it's not to say that those folks can't help you get results, right? But there's a difference between someone who's going to be able to, when I look across our company and our partners that we manage ads for, it's 9 figures a month in ad spend being managed. That comes with a different level of expectation. It also comes with a different set of knowledge industry. Like we see a lot more, which means that we can react faster, we can make changes faster, we can adjust faster. And those things become important. Why? Because if you're if you're a small time business owner whose marketing budget's $1,000 a month, I'm probably not your guy. Transparently, like it's not like we operate at a different level at this point. But it's not to say that the 20-year-old can't help you, but as you go and as you grow, I have never, and this is something I pride myself on, I'm never so egotistical to think that I know everything. Like even just in the presentation I was referring to on Thursday, I was like, oh man, he shared something. I was like, oh man, like he talked about a platform that I probably last used, I don't know, 10 years ago. And I was like, I forgot the thing even existed.
Mm.
I should go check it out. Right. And it's like, cool. Now my team's in there. Like we just launched a new campaign in that. I was like, hey, we got to get this going. Like, I know that this space is so large and business space is so large that there's always something for me to be learning. And you know, the days where I go, man, it's been a few weeks since I learned something new, then I get worried because I'm like, something's either I'm not putting the time in or something's wrong. And like to me, that's scarier than saying I know it all.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. I seem like I feel like I learn every single day, and which makes me feel better and better. Then I look back at what I used to do back when I started. I started this firm in 06, or I joined the firm in 06, and I think, wow, I really thought I knew what I was doing back then. Man, I've learned so much since then. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
All right, so I do know. Remember, I said I'm throwing things at you anew. You don't know what we're going to be talking about, but again, I wanted to talk about how you grew your business. I do remember you were doing a presentation about email marketing, and I thought it was pretty good. Sadly, I didn't listen the whole and watch the whole thing, but I caught enough of it to know that you know what you're doing as far as email marketing. Has that helped your business to grow?
Tremendously. Like not just the agency, but my personal brand. It's helped our real estate business. Okay, so perfect example of email marketing at its and how it works well.
Yeah.
So I have an email list of probably about 16,000 real estate investors, right? That I have personally met at some point in time. I have a much bigger list than that overall, but these are folks that have met me. Either they saw me on stage, they came to an event that I was at, like somehow, or I was at an event and I met them there, right? So 2 years ago, 2022. Oh, sorry, I know time, but a couple of years ago, I was like, all right, look, when I get on stage, we close a lot more business. It just like people buy our stuff at a higher level, right? And
you mean when you're a speaker, when you're speaking,
when I'm
people
speaking
buy
stage,
him,
right? And I know this to be true because I'm a good speaker, and I know that because I spent 4,000 hours plus doing it at this point in time. So when I get on stages, we close better. I was like, I want to do some traveling. I'm going to send an email to our list and say, if you run a group and you want me to come speak to your group, I will show up in person and speak to your group. And over the course of 2 years, I think I booked just shy of 60 events.
That's my boy. Nice job, Bob.
Spoke on, right, from 16,000 people. Now, this is to say this. You may not care about getting on stage. In fact, the idea that might terrify you to know, and you're like, oh, I would never do that. But that's not the point. It's not about being on stage. The point was I sent emails to a bunch of people and got a result that I desired. People think email marketing is dead, but it could not be further from the truth. The 2022 DMA number, which is the Digital Marketing Association, who tracks all digital marketing trends, in 2022, the stat was $42 ROI for $1 spent on email marketing. In 2023, the number decreased slightly, I believe, to $39 was the number that I saw last. Now, let's just say that they're full of it, and that number is, let's just, to make things easier, let's call it 40. Let's say it's a quarter of that. So it's actually $10, not 40.
Yeah.
Imagine spending $1 and getting $10 back. There's very few marketing campaigns out there that produce those kinds of results. And so I don't care what anybody says. If it's just as quarter as good as what the DMA says, it's still a phenomenal ROI for what you're doing. And so don't sleep on email marketing. Now, the other thing though, and this is what I see people do wrong. And this is the people who say email marketing doesn't work. It's because they're doing it wrong. They're treating email marketing like almost like their website. It's like a thing that I have to do. So I just write these crappy emails that no one cares about. Email marketing that works is storytelling at its finest. It's taking someone on a journey with you about the things that you went through that caused you to start your business, run your business, get into this business. It's stories about your clients that you've helped or how what you've done for them or the results you've gotten. When you treat email as a storytelling experience instead of just a general, here's information about my business, do you want to buy my stuff? You'll find that it works a lot better. But most people don't take the time to do that. And by the way, with AI these days, you can generate not necessarily stories per se. I mean, you could, but you can say, hey, here's a story. I want you to write an email that highlights this story and does, hits these 3 points. And ChatGPT will incorporate your story in with an email that it writes out for you and spit it out. It's never been easier to create good email content, but people are just lazy. And they're lazy because they don't look at the numbers usually and say, how do I attribute back the ROI to this? And they think that it's not worth their time. But I promise you it is if you do it right.
Email marketing is the only way to go. We suck at all marketing. I'm embarrassed to say it. We suck at, social media marketing. We suck at everything. But I will say we are very good at email marketing. Our open rates are unbelievable, partially because we have a captive audience. People have to open we have 52% open rate, and that's blended rate. That's unbelievable. And that's not lying. That's not fictitious. I know that number, again, because we have a captive audience. But still, I feel very confident in, I always get good feedback. Oh, wow, that was a good email. And we send very little blurbs. But anyway, it blows me away that people don't use email marketing for their own. It's pretty much cheap. It's pretty much free. And it just blows me away.
It's a fraction of a penny to send an email, right? So, and here's the thing. I want to cover something that you just said, right? So you have a 52% open rate. That's fantastic, right? That's phenomenal. And by the way, for those of you who don't understand this, let's go through that real quick.
Thank you. Good point.
One, average open rate for company-based email, which means like marketing emails that you're sending them in a sequence. If you're hitting 30%, that's phenomenal. 20% to 25% is good. 15 to 20 is okay. Below 15, below 10%, bad. Okay, so that's your numbers. So your numbers at 52% are beyond phenomenal. But
those are to our marketplace, our existing content.
Okay.
But anyway,
Okay. But here's the thing that everyone else forgets. We get so caught up in the number of open rate, but you're forgetting one simple thing, which is that the other 48% who didn't open your emails on average are still seeing the name every single time you email. So that when they do think about doing your business services, you should be the first person that comes to their mind, even if they've never opened an email from you, because they know who you are, they know what you email about, they know what you do, and they've seen you so frequently that they understand that when they have that problem, that question, or they need that solution, you should be the first one. And that's the thing that we can't track, right? Like I can't track my unopens to, I remembered them, let me call them, or let me reach out to them, or go to their website and fill out their form, or click the ad that I saw, or whatever it's going to be, right? Like those are those kinds of things that we don't always think about, but we know. And I'd be willing to bet, for those of you who are doing email marketing, if you go back and look at the people who were on your email list and also bought products or services from you, how long were those folks on your email, and what was their average open rate? This is a fun exercise that a lot of people don't do. And you'll be surprised. A lot of times your buyers are not the ones that are clicking every email, right? They're the ones that are clicking 50% of your emails, or 20% or 30% of your emails, but they still bought anyways. Because it's not about getting them to open every email. It's about staying top of mind so that when they are ready to buy, you are the first person they think of.
Yeah, you have to touch them a lot more nowadays, from what all the marketer dudes tell me. Yeah. So, okay. So hold on. So talking about email marketing in general, but let's back up. What about the things that you regret? The things that you haven't done to expand your business there's two things. Either things that you've done that have worked well, or the things that haven't worked well. I'm kind of interested in what has not worked well that you're changing, and what are you doing to change it? Does that make sense?
It does. So, I've made so many mistakes and things that we've done. I'd be here for like 6 podcast lengths to try to talk about that. But biggest mistakes that I've made is this. And this is coming from a marketer who knows better, but we all fall in the same traps of getting busy. Things happen, whatever, right? Number one, not continuing to write emails. When we first started a business, I would be in there creating 1 or 2 emails a week and adding to it so that my email sequence just continues getting longer and longer and longer. I always have subscribed to the idea of you either unsubscribe or die. That's the only way you stop getting my emails. But the reality is, even though I believe that, I do still believe that. The reality is I got busy in our business and I stopped writing emails. And so now I think I've only got like 60 or 70 emails written. So if I'm emailing out twice a week, even that's, not even a full year worth of email content that they're going to get. And so I would change, and I am right now. Now I have team members helping me out with this instead, but commit as a business owner to write 1 or 2 emails a week.
Are you talking blast emails that go to either new or existing clients, right?
I know. These are ongoing sequence emails. So when we look at email marketing, right, there's usually 2 sequences. There's the initial opt-in, which is going to hit them for the first 7 to 14 days, depending on your sales cycle length, right? Get them to take whatever action, book a call, go buy a thing, whatever it is, right? Then there's the long-term nurture. The long-term nurture is what I'm referring to. People, you'd be surprised how many people come back to me years later and do something that I'm like, oh man, like a perfect example. We are right now, I keep getting deals, like these really good real estate deals emailed to me constantly. And I like all my money's out working for me right now. So I don't have any more to give. I'd love to have some more to put in these deals, but I don't. But I do have an email list of people who have money, right? That might be interested. And so, I can send an email just letting people know that we'll always have opportunities. And because I have a portion of my email list saying that we've always got opportunities, and I drop in opportunities, even if they're past one. It doesn't matter if it's from 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. It was still an opportunity when it came about. And I'll get people call me or email me and say, hey, I've been following your emails. I just had a loan come due. I don't want to re-up with that guy, or he doesn't have anything for me. Do you have any loans? Yeah, I'll find somewhere to put your money. Don't worry. Right? Like things like that. Or, we do a lot of websites, right? Perfect example is I had a person that said, yeah, actually you came and I saw you at an event and I opted in. I've been getting your emails. And I was like, oh, what event did you see me at? I was like, they're like, this one. I was like, oh man, that was like 2 years ago that I spoke. And they're like, and I'm finally ready to get a website. Can we get going now? Right? They're like, but what triggered me was, yes, they saw me at an event. They opted in. But what was more important, I've been getting your emails. I went into that particular instance's case. By the way, he had a 22% open rate. So he only opened 22% of the emails that he got from me, but he's still buying from me. Right? So those are the things. And so the biggest mistake I made was not just continuing to send emails, because you never know when someone's going to decide to buy whatever it is that you're offering. Right. Or even if they don't, they go, oh, my cousin, my nephew, my neighbor, my friend, oh, you should call this person because, I've been following them for whatever. So that would be number one. Number one would be that. And then number 2, I have to pick between a handful of things. But number 2, I would say, I think I made a mistake on fulfillment. And what I mean by that.
What do you mean by that?
When you're a small time entrepreneur, so like 4 years ago, especially when we were just getting started, it was just my business partner and I, right? Like I had like one part-time person, but otherwise it was just the 2 of us. That's it. That was the whole company. We get a new client in, and I would sometimes drop the ball on fulfillment and like, hey, I need, let's say I'm building a website, for example. All right, well, I need your logo. Where's your domain? We need to get your hosting moved over. We need to get, what's your color palette? Do you have a brand guide? Like there's a bunch of things that I would need from them to get. And sometimes I'd be so excited about getting them in. I get them in and then have like 4 more sales calls, and I forget to send the email for them. And then it's like 2 weeks later, they're going like, hey, where's my website? And I'm like, oh,
yeah, I get it.
I can't even start because I don't even have any of the things I need. And so I dropped the ball there. So, and I know that I'm bad at those things. So I wish, if I go back, I wish we would have outsourced fulfillment sooner, or gotten, like for me, getting a detail oriented person. I'm not hyper detail oriented in that capacity. Like I can be that because I have to play that role, especially in the beginning of the business. But now I've got team members that can do those things for me. But back then it was just me. And so in short, outsource. And when I say outsource, it doesn't have to physically be like a virtual in another country. It could be just, but not you, the things that you're terrible at. I'm terrible at details and fulfillment, honestly. So that's something I should not have tried to take on, because we would have been grown faster if I wasn't in the weeds of doing that thing and been over here on sales, for example.
I totally know what you mean. I mean, you got to come through. Service, getting in the door is important. Service is really sometimes even more important. You and I could be talking all day. You and I were, I know you're available for an hour, but I don't want to take more than 30 minutes. But, here we are a few minutes over 30 minutes. Okay, so just to close the door, land the plane, what's one thing, how about this? What's one thing we have not discussed that you think is worth a business owner knowing kind of as we get ready to, land the plane?
So the second biggest thing that most business owners are sleeping on right now is great follow up in this marketing. So I talked a little bit about the trust recession and how trust is at an all time low. Your follow up is the biggest single way to dramatically increase trust with no additional effort from you. And what I mean by that is this. So like we have a CRM that you can get into, and it does email and text drip sequences over time. So that's like long-term email marketing or text marketing. Having a great follow-up. So not just, oh, here's the thing, go get it. Like talking to them, telling stories, engaging their mind, getting them in with you, that follow-up. Because when you write an email once for follow-up, if you wrote it well, it can be used for the next 1, 2, 3, 5, 10, 20 years in some cases, depending on.
You're saying making it into a template, right?
Yeah. Well, not just making it a template, but put it in your system, right? If you write a great follow-up sequence, put it in your system. You go give a good, like, let's just say you're on a podcast, like, man, whatever I just said right there, that was great. Get the audio transcription or audio file, transcribe it, put that into an email and add it to your follow-up. People are sleeping on a follow-up. And here's the thing, they don't give it enough time. So right now, especially in the real estate business, let's take this is a hyper example, probably more than most other businesses. But if you look at motivated sellers, for example, on email marketing or text marketing, it takes almost 14 touch points for a motivated seller to decide to work with you right now. So, and when I say a touch point, that could be an email, a text, a message, an ad, a phone call, but something where they're communicating with your business or seeing your business in some capacity. 14, that's the average. I would be willing to bet most business owners are stopping after 7 to 10 because 7 to 10 has been the de facto number for the last 15 years. But the reality is it takes more. Now, here's the good news. The bad news is it takes more. The good news is that it's never been easier to follow up with a good CRM that can do all this for you, that can automate that communication for you. And so the output of time for an entrepreneur to create great follow-up versus the usability and reusability for one-to-many is at an all-time high. And so as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, you should especially be looking at creating the best follow-up, and it should go on for as long as you can possibly make it. And that goes back to what I was saying before, which is like, can you write one email a week? Because even if you're emailing twice a week, you will write less than what you're sending out. But as time goes on, each person in is getting more and more and more and more and more and more, and that will only benefit you long term.
And then, by the way, you should have a staffer. I mean, some people would say they should write it, but really, if you have a staffer write it who's really competent, that can free you up to do other things. But that's a whole nother discussion. But speaking of others, go ahead.
My staff will write our emails now. This is perfect example, actually. Last night, this is a weird story, but I was at the vet. I had to take my puppy to the vet for an emergency, and we were waiting for the doctor. There was massive flooding going on, so she was running behind. And so I whipped open the emails that my team had just written for me, and I'm going through, and I'm like, hey, here's just some, these are a good start, but here's some immediate feedback. I want to add more of this, less of this, do a little bit more of this, and then come back to me. So I'm having my team write emails now, but they're getting my direction. And then I said, hey, there's no stories in any of these emails. So what I want you to do is I want you to come back. There was a 20 email sequence that they wrote for me. I said, I want you to come back to me with 3 to 10 story themes. You don't have to write the story for me, but say, hey, do you have a story where, this happened? Perfect. Yes, I do. I'll literally audio file the story back to them, and they can go incorporate that in the email, making it better. So that's how we do it now, because I'm too busy to actually write the emails. So I use my team to get it, 80%. I'll fill in the last 20 and then let them cross the finish line with it.
Yeah. Dude, this has been so good. Oh my gosh. Speaking of comeback, how you said comeback. I'm going to have you come back, and we're going to elongate this a little bit. We're going to augment this because this is some added value stuff that some of our listeners and viewers are going to love. Not some, all. How does that sound there, buddy? I say we have you come back and let's go a little bit longer and chat a little bit more, and because you're a good dude. And speaking of trust, going back to your point about trust, I know you're a dude who can be trusted. This has been a great time. Hopefully you've had a good time. All the people out there who are listening and watching have had a good time. Once again, this is Kenner French. Bob, once again, give your contact information.
Yeah, so just reach out to me. Head to go3dc.com is probably the best way to reach out to me. If you want to get a hold of me directly, if you go to etsy.com/Bob McIntosh. You'll find my contact card. It has my cell phone, my business line, my email, everything there. I'm an open book. If you need help in marketing, reach out to me.
Love it. Once again, this is Kenneth French, Vast Voices telling business secrets to entrepreneurs, and I'm with vastsolutionsgroup.com. Thanks, everybody.